Good afternoon. It's afternoon here in North Carolina, so I'm hoping that this is coming through okay. My name is Tanika Maria. I am a certified Christian life coach, author, and speaker. And most importantly, I am a child of God, all about helping you walk in emotional wholeness, peace, and clarity. And I'm over here trying to figure out how to work this HAPS on multiple platforms. So just bear with me as I try to get used to this new platform, knowing that we are transitioning off Periscope. So we should have people coming in. Let me see if I can pay attention here on Facebook, here on Instagram, well, not Instagram, Periscope, YouTube, HAPS. Blessings to you all. Blessings to you all. Good to see you. So we're going to be talking about the 8 signs of unforgiveness. 8 signs of not necessarily unforgiveness, but rather fake forgiveness. What does that look like? How do you know that you've truly forgiven, right? Fake forgiveness. False forgiveness, that surface level sticky stuff. You know what I mean? It's not really real. Oh, I'm over that. Oh, yeah, it's all right. I'm good. I'm good. No, you're not good. No, you're not good. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, because this unforgiveness thing is a debt. It is a debt in the spirit, and it holds us back. And so let's look at it real quick. I'm just going to break down. It's more like when you're holding this resentment in your heart, it's more like a debt, just like a car note, just like a house note, just like a credit card bill. A financial debt and an emotional debt has the same, as it is in the natural, so it is in the spirit, right? And so debt is something that you owe. And so when we're dealing in the realm of fake forgiveness and holding resentments and grudges and things of that nature, you're talking about an unseen debt. You're talking about a debt that's in your heart. And so it's lots of invisible little debts that we're paying all the time. It's invisible debts that we're trying to collect all the time. That it's the father who walked out on you when you were little. You're still trying to get his approval. That's an emotional debt. It's the mother that was overly critical, or the mom that didn't act right, didn't show you a lot of affection and love, and you're still trying to collect from her. That's an emotional debt. It's the time where you got humiliated or embarrassed in some kind of way. That's an emotional debt, because you're still trying to collect payment. It's like still being in that space of trying to prove you're worthy, still being in that space of trying to get a validation, still in the space, come on, of trying to show something that you're still trying to collect that emotional debt. So we're going to break this down, but I wanted to lay a foundation of that emotional debt. It's all these little resentments, all of these things that we're trying to get it from somebody else, but we're the one that's making the payment. We feel like someone else owes us, but we're the one that's doing the spiritual internal hustling, the subconscious hustling to get approval, to be seen, to be validated, to get love, to prove that they were wrong. We're the ones trying to pay that debt. And so when we're dealing with false forgiveness, what it is, okay, say someone did something to you, and there's a resentment there, there's a hurt there. And depending on how deep and how painful that was, sometimes in our ego, sometimes in our pride, what we'll act like we're doing, okay, verbally and intellectually in my head, I'm going to say that I've forgiven them. Okay, it's okay because I'm a good Christian. We're supposed to forgive. But fake forgiveness is basically you're suppressing it. It's a suppression of your real feelings. The resentment is still there. The pain is still there. It's in your mind. It's in your body. It's in your soul. Repressed emotions do not go anywhere. For those of you who have listened to me for any length of time, you know that repressed feelings, they don't go anywhere. They just show back up later. They show up in the cracks of your life. They show up in the irritation. They show up in the frustration. They show up in the aches and the pains, the headaches, the cussing, the going off, the drinking, the sexing. That's right. Fake forgiveness. I'm looking at my notes here. Fake forgiveness is basically suppressing the hurt and sort of going along verbally, but the resentment and painful feelings are still there. And some of this stuff is sitting from childhood. And it comes how we get to the point where we're doing the fake forgiveness, where we're just moving on. Just because you moved on physically, just because you've moved on in time, doesn't mean that the posture of your heart is changed, right? So in time, this thing could have happened years ago. And so I've moved on. Oh, I've moved on. You haven't moved on. Yes, the headaches, April. you, you haven't moved on. Just because you've moved on in time, just because you've moved on naturally, does not mean your heart has moved on. And see, when we're into that fake forgiveness, it's like you haven't fully accepted and sat with how painful that thing really was. And so we get into fake forgiveness when we try to rush it along. We try to cover it up with Christian mayonnaise. Yes, I said it. Or, sometimes we don't even have a forgiveness process at all. We just decide, okay, I forgive it. I'm just going to sweep this on up under the rug. I'm going to sweep it under the rug and act like it didn't happen. Well, it really did happen. And the deeper that disappointment is, the deeper that pain is. And then when we suppress it with fake forgiveness, it does not go anywhere. And it's more or less motivated by fear and ego. So if it's fake, now let me try to get to my little notes here because I had my notes together. Now I've gotten it out of order. But when something is really deep-seated, right? When someone has hurt you really bad and that thing is deep-seated, you've been betrayed, you've been seriously wounded. And when you do the fake covering up, suppressing kind of forgiveness, what it does is like you're not owning that pain. You're not really giving that pain a true voice. You're not really releasing it because it's all intellectual. It's like an intellectual ego-based forgiveness. Just like you can have an intellectual ego-based love for somebody, there's also an intellectual ego-based type of forgiveness that's not coming from the heart. And so deep feelings, when it comes to rational and logical things, deep feelings in the heart and emotions, that's not subject to rationality. It's not subject to logic. And so when you try to superimpose and over intellectualize and sweep under the rug your pain, your heart still has it. Your heart and your emotions doesn't function on logic. And we think that by talking and by thinking in our head that somehow that's going to make it okay. No. And I'm getting ready to give the 8 signs of fake forgiveness in a minute here. But I want you to know that deep feelings of disappointment, deep feelings of hurt, deep feelings of just being profoundly wounded and betrayed or abandoned, that's just not going to go away by logic. That's not going to simply go away by saying a little quick dry prayer. We're talking about the 8 signs of fake forgiveness. That's right. You got to admit the pain. Hey there, Terlisky from Facebook. I see you. And those of you on Periscope, let me see you in the chat. Sometimes I see some of you are not. I'm on Haps right now because I have to figure out different ways since Periscope is going to be shutting down. And so false forgiveness, again, is coming from a place of fear and ego. And let me give you an example. Here's a good example real quick, and then I'm going to give you some signs. So let's see. Let me find something. I had my little samples here. Well, then, wait a minute. Let me get my examples here because I like to give for you to really think. But it's like, say, for instance, if you're a woman and your husband cheated on you, right? Okay, so let's use this example. So woman finds out, she suspected that her husband cheated on her. She finds out that he's been cheating, right? And they got a lifestyle. They have children. They're in ministry. They have a nice income coming in. They got all these things going on. And even though she's deeply hurt, even though she's wounded, got a lot of pain and feels some kind of way about it, she says out of her mouth, I forgive you, right? But her heart's not in it. Why is she forgiving him? It's from her fear and from her ego. This is how fake forgiveness works. She doesn't want to lose the house. She doesn't want to go through the process of a divorce. She doesn't want to break up the family. She's caring about what people think, especially if they're high in ministry and high in business and everybody thinks they're so wonderful. They think they're the best, coolest couple in the world and all of this kind of stuff. And so she forgives him, right? This quote, fake forgiveness. It is coming from that place of fear and flesh and ego because of the reasons are rooted in fear. She doesn't want to lose the lifestyle. She cares, she has a fear of man. She doesn't care. She's more worried about what other people think and what she's going to lose than truly being able to be honest that this is Jack and you hurt me. You betrayed me. I hurt and I got to sit with this and this is messy and I need to feel these feelings. No. So fake forgiveness, what she does is she suppresses that thing, goes along to get along, but how does it show up? How does it show up in her life? The irritability, the headaches, the lack of having compassion and feelings for her husband anymore, her life, being miserable. It shows up in the depression. It shows up all these different types of, she doesn't have any peace anymore. The painful feelings are buried. They never leave. They just keep coming up. She's snappy. She's irritable. She's depressed. She's having physical problems in her body. There's no intimacy in the marriage because she doesn't have the feelings for him anymore. This is how it shows up. So even though she said forgiveness out of her mouth, see what you don't speak out, your body will act out. What you don't speak out, your body acts out. What you don't speak out, it shows up. It doesn't go anywhere, right? So again, that's a sign of how we function in fake forgiveness, right? Here's some signs. Number one, the painful feelings are buried but not gone. They tend to keep coming up because they're not being addressed, right? They're not coming to the light of Christ. I'm not bringing this stuff before God and saying, God, this is what's in my heart. You got to help me, Jesus. Well, it's not, yes, it has to be from the heart. That's right, Trilisky. You fail. So that's the first sign. The painful feelings are buried, but they keep popping up. So if you got this recurring, painful, resentful, hurt feeling, sad feeling that never goes away, even though you said out your mouth, I've moved on from that situation, but it still keeps coming. That's a sign of that you haven't really forgiven. Number two, you fail to experience any release or peace. Blessings to you, Mimi on Twitter. Blessings to you. Blessings to you. Yes, I see everyone here. I got multiple things going on here, you guys. You fail to experience any sense of release or peace. True forgiveness, there's a peace there. There's a release when you finally let that resentment out of your heart. Because again, like I've said, and I may touch on this more, but that other person can apologize and try to make it right, but it's between you and God to actually release the resentment from your heart. That person cannot physically come and go in your heart and dig out that resentment and replace it with peace, right? They're the ones who did the damage. They cannot pay back the debt of how they hurt you. They don't have the capacity for it. The only person who can touch your heart and to help heal that is you and God. And when you make a decision, there's a release. So if you've said out your mouth that you've moved on from a certain situation, you said out of your mouth, oh, I forgive them, it's over, but you still don't have peace, right? You haven't had any release, then that's a sign of fake forgiveness or false forgiveness. In psychology, they call it false forgiveness. Number three, another sign that you truly have not forgiven is you still have fantasies. You're still having fantasies of getting them back. You're still having fantasies of getting even. You're still having little fantasies and little thoughts about them suffering and whatnot and paying back and getting payback, like where I would go, saying these little things and thinking these things in your head and these little fantasies. You're still doing that. Fake forgiveness, right? Fourth sign of fake forgiveness is that of having a kind of superiority or self-righteousness. Like you want a reward because you forgave them. I should be, I need a reward. I need special treatment. I need to get a pat on the back because I forgave you. That's a fake forgiveness, right? That's fake. Or the feeling. So number 5 is that you're feeling like forgiving is a favor, like you're doing something, like you've done something because you've forgiven them. You gave them a favor. That's all from the ego. That is not from the heart. That is definitely fake forgiveness. if you, another sign, I guess this is what sign number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You expect certain terms and conditions to be met before you forgive somebody. If you expect certain terms and conditions to be met, you have a whole list of conditions that they got to meet. They got to jump through 50 hoops for you to forgive them. That's all in the ego. That's all the work of the flesh. That's all rooted in fear. That's not from the heart. True forgiveness comes from the heart, and true forgiveness never comes from a place of fear, but of love. It's like finding that place of compassion for that other person, enough for your own sanity so that you can let that resentment go. And number 7, this is another sign that you know that it's false forgiveness. The only reason why you're verbally articulating out of your mouth that you're forgiven is because of fear of loss of what you're going to lose if you don't stay in that dynamic, of what you're going to lose. Like the example I gave of the woman forgiving her husband's indiscretions. For a woman, quote, saying out of her mouth, I forgive you, but she's not really forgiving because she don't want to lose her home. She doesn't want to lose her lifestyle. She doesn't want to lose her status in the community. So she's forgiven from a place of fear and not from her heart. And by reason of that, it's affecting her body. It affects how she shows up. It affects her emotions because she's not being truthful. So the Bible says in John 8:32, it's the truth that sets you free. It's truth that sets us free, no matter how painful. It's not suppressing my feelings, because that's the essence of fake forgiveness. The essence of fake forgiveness is like, I'm going to suppress my real painful feelings. I'm going to go along and get along. I'm going to make this an intellectual, ego-based exercise where I just say it out of my head, instead of it coming from my heart, but the pain is still there. That pain does not go anywhere. And so that is the 7th sign, is that you forgive of what you're going to lose. It's done out of fear. And the eighth reason how we could get into false forgiveness is the past still has the power to hurt you. And see, whenever we're stuck in the past, there's always a forgiveness issue. Because once we truly and deeply forgive, what happened in the past does not hurt us anymore. But as long as that past keeps coming up, as long as the past just keep rolling up in your mind, and you claim you've gotten over it and you've moved on, but that pain is still there, the past still has the power over you. And so when we're like that, we have not truly forgiven. So how do you do that? I'm glad you asked. True forgiveness, true heart forgiveness, and I'm going to define the psychological reason for forgiveness. See, today I'm teaching more. I'm not getting all wild and preachy. But psychologists define forgiveness as a conscious, deliberate decision to release feelings of resentment or vengeance towards a group or person who has harmed you, regardless of whether or not they actually deserve it. And to do that requires that you have love. It's like somewhere, because real forgiveness comes from love and compassion. Real forgiveness says, I got to find the love of God somewhere in my heart where I don't want to see this person or group. I don't want them to suffer. And I got to have enough compassion and love for myself, knowing that I am carrying an emotional debt. All those little debts in your heart. The time your mama criticized you and didn't give you affection. The time that ex-boyfriend or ex-husband hurt you. The time that church people humiliated you. All those little debts are the same like a car note. They're the same in the spirit, just like your car note, your house note, and that credit card bill. And until you can release that debt, what does the Bible say? Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And then it says, I believe this is Matthew. What is this? Matthew 6:14-15. If you don't forgive people their debts, the Heavenly Father won't forgive you of yours. So it's like, I can't afford to hold on to these debts. I got to find love and compassion somewhere in my heart. They cannot heal this resentment. That person doesn't have the capacity to pay me back for what they did. God is my only recompense. God is my only vindication. Right? People don't want to hear this, but this unforgiveness stuff is so huge. It's like a big old debt. It's like a big old debt in the spirit. And I'm up here holding all these little debts, trying to collect it, trying to get approval, trying to be validated, trying to be seen, trying to be noticed by the same people that hurt me, trying to collect the debt. Holding on, suppressing feelings, not really wanting to really realize how deeply disappointed that thing hit me. You know, if you had that soul level disappointment, that soul level pain, where that stuff hit you pretty hard, and you going around putting spiritual mayonnaise over it, perpetrating, faking the funk, like I say, like you're okay. True forgiveness really releases you. And the replacement feeling. So when you make a decision, okay, God, I'm going to come before you to help me release this debt that I have. I'm holding a debt against my mom. I'm holding debts against my ex. I'm holding debts against people at work. I got all these debts piling up in my heart and in my spirit to all these different people. God, how do I get rid of this debt? Cleanse my heart from this resentment. How do I do this? I want you to first think about the benefits. Think about the benefits of it, you know, because you go from feeling hurt, betrayed, angry, and resentful. And in that place, when you're freed of it, now there's love, there's compassion, there's caring in your heart. All of those icky feelings go away because you're the one that's carrying it. There's one thing my mentor Shannon says, I got to live here. I can't afford to have resentment to my ex-husband and my ex-boyfriend and my ex-fiancés. I can't afford to be carrying resentment and ugly little bitter little nasty feelings and trying to have these little thoughts and stuff. Who has to live in this body? Who has to live in this soul? Same as it is for you. You got to live with you. You got to live there. I got to live here. I got to live here. Lord, I've been through too much. I've paid my suffering dues. God, I want your peace. I want your love. I want your expansion. I want your grace. I want your blessing in my life. I have to live here. So you put your hand over your heart and you're carrying all those debts and you're doing this fake forgiveness. I want you to remember, you have to live here. You're the one that's got to live inside with you. Not the person that's carrying those that you're mad at, not the person that hurt you, not the person that did that betrayed you or abandoned you or humiliated you or embarrassed you. They're not living in your heart inside of you, feeling the icky feelings. You are. True forgiveness is inspired by love. It's a heart of compassion that says, God, I have enough compassion for myself. And God, even though that person hurt me, I have to look at them as a person that they were doing the best they could with their own wounds, their own unresolved issues, their own trauma, their own drama. And they did what they did, intentional or unintentional. They damaged me. They hurt me. They hurt my heart. They hurt my soul. But Lord, I choose to release this resentment because I have to live here. I have to live here. Lord, give me enough compassion and love in my heart to let it go and let it be for real, for real. Let it be for real, for real. I don't want no fake forgiveness. And then just ask God from that place because you might not have it in your heart right now. It's a process. It comes in layers. So you ask God, show me, lead me, guide me, help me. I can't afford to keep carrying all of this emotional debt in my spirit. God, I want debt freedom. I want to be free. I don't want any emotional debts and I don't want financial debt either, right? But it starts from the inside out. So I pray that this blessed you. And it's a little different from me because I'm on another platform called HAPS that I was trying because I know Periscope is going to be discontinuing soon. But I just pray that this blessed you. And I want you to think about the things I've shared on today and really whether or not you've been operating from fake forgiveness. Have you been truly forgiving? Have you been just doing this surface level stuff that's really not true? Like, where are you? Where are you? Amen. Now, real quick, by way of an announcement, I definitely want you to click the link in my bio in Periscope. I don't know what I have going on here on Haps, but I do have the Get Real Be Healed Inner Circle that I'm opening up in February. And this is where a group of like-minded women of God, we're going to come together and we're going to unpack a lot of this. We're going to do some deep inner healing work, especially in the forgiveness area. The unforgiveness that you have towards that ex or to anyone is what keeps your soul entangled and enmeshed with them. The person that you're holding the biggest grudge, the person that you're holding the biggest level of unforgiveness and resentment and hurt towards, you're literally tying your soul to them. Just like you see a big old elephant in the circus tied up to a little thing on a little string, on a little rope. Well, that's how you look because it's tying you to that person. Every time you hold unforgiveness debt to someone else, you're tethering your soul just like an elephant on a little pole in the circus. That's how it looks. You're tying yourself to them. The unforgiveness and the resentment ties your soul to the very person that you're resentful to. And it's a form of bondage. And it keeps us stuck. And it's the main reason why we spin around in the same cycles and patterns, because we have some unconscious and deep-seated stuff that we're not even aware of. So I encourage you, for those of you who are interested in going deeper with me in this kind of work, healing and releasing and moving forward past our past. I want to get past my past, God. I want to get healed, get real and be healed for real in 2021. Then I encourage you. And I'll put a link, I'll figure out how to do this on my different platforms because I'm getting used to Haps and stuff. But at any rate, when I put the link out, definitely check it out because we definitely want to go deeper in this. It's going to be a weekly mentoring with me in a small group. We'll have a 1 monthly meeting where we're going to have a guest speaker. You're going to get homework, exercises, accountability, and weekly with me on Zoom where we're going to be held accountable to doing the work in a safe space, in a safe and sacred space where you can unpack this stuff and get real and be healed for real, so that we can be freed up and wholehearted in 2021. And again, I am right in the journey with you because I do this work for myself all the time. It's constant. Healing and deliverance is layers and it's constant. We go from glory to glory, faith to faith, strength to strength. And so we won't arrive while we're in this expression of life. There's going to always be something that we need to heal, forgive, and release. And so I encourage you, as I encourage myself, to join me in the journey. Stay tuned and connected as I come out here more often. My name is Tanika Maria. I'm all about helping you get real, be healed, and move forward in emotional wholeness, peace, and clarity. So you guys have a blessed rest of your evening and know that God loves you and that He sees you and He is aware of you. Blessings to you all. Take care. Bye-bye.